Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Sportscaster and Her Son, where sports bridges the gap between the generations. I'm your co-host, Peggy Jason, 12-time Emmy Award-winning sportscaster at ESPN Radio here in Chicago. I'm also the mom, and I welcome in my co-host, my son, Jason.
For the last time from home this summer, Mom, I am I'm a senior now at University of Texas at Austin, Generation Z, sports director at TSTV Sports. It's going to be a great fall, but an even better time. First Chicago Bears episode of the NFL season, Mom. I'm so excited to talk Bears football with you. I know that you've been at camp a lot these last couple of weeks, so I'm excited to hear your observations. Let's get it going.
Yeah, so, the Bears ended 2022 on a franchise worst 10-game losing streak by their first game this 2023 season against the Green Bay Packers. It will have been 321 days since their last win. They open against Green Bay, and Green Bay does not have Aaron Rodgers. So there's a chance, but there's still as much optimism that there is around the Bears this year. There's still a lot of questions about how good they are and how good they can be.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that is probably surrounding the offense, particularly the quarterback position. I think Justin Fields looked awesome last year, but he didn't throw the ball particularly well. And that's what you need to win football games in the NFL, is a quarterback who can really throw the ball. A lot of new pieces on offense, DJ Moore, almost an entirely new backfield. And then you talk about the pieces on defense, which I'm really excited to get into this episode. The two linebackers, huge additions. Secondary is a little revamped. And then, of course, Bears signed Yannick Ngakoue last week as a big addition to the front seven. So a lot of new pieces, a lot of unproven players playing big roles. But I think they're really the big turd surrounding the Bears this year is what if? I mean, they're in a not a horrible division, but they're in a slightly less competitive division than maybe some of the other divisions in the NFL. They have a young team. They showed some flashes last year, probably as many flashes as you can show in a 3-win season. And so that's, kind of my whole mantra with this Bears team is, what if? What if they're the best team in the division and they make the playoffs and they run the table and, anything can happen any given Sunday, right, Mom?
So we're going to leave the offense for another episode where we can break down Justin Fields, because really this season is all about Justin Fields' prove-it season and all the additions, like you just said, that they made on offense. Instead, on this episode, we are going to focus on the defense. All right, Jason, let's bring back a friend of the show to help us break down the Bears defense. In year 2 under coach Matt Eberflus, former Bears defensive coordinator, former Lions head coach, many stops in between. He's a defensive guru, Coach Rod Marinelli, joining us again. Coach, it's great to have you back on the show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. It's awesome to be here, Peggy. Appreciate it.
We love it. This is Coach Eberflus's second year now as a head coach.
Yep.
Tough year for him in the first year as he tries to establish what he wants the Bears to be. They're establishing their systems. They're establishing their culture. And unfortunately, it resulted last year in a franchise record, 14 losses and only 3 wins.
Yep.
What advice did you give Coach Flus after last season, going into year 2 of what he's trying to build here in Chicago?
Yeah, I just there's some positives. And as I look at the positive, I think I might have told you this before. The last thing to show in a successful business is profit. You have to do it the right way if you want it lasting. Now, the NFL is fast. They want to see results. So going into that second year, I think he laid a terrific foundation. He's added that his type of guys right now that he wants. And so that's the next big step. And it's really establishing a culture that what you expect, your effort, your fundamental, what your coaches, he's coaching coaches too along the way, new staff, all those things. So that's, I've seen many programs like that start off slow and gradually gain momentum as it goes. He'll do that.
As a follow-up to that real quick, Coach, the losses can really be tough on a person. You know that firsthand from your days in Detroit. How does Matt stay positive and not look at those numbers and those stats?
I just think it's toughness. You got to be mentally tough. You got to be strong. You got to know what you're going into, and you have to have belief. When you have belief, everything works. You got to believe that you know your system, you know your people, you know your coaches, and then you stay in that groove. Once you get out of that groove and start listening, then it's tough. But if you just stay with your beliefs, and he's got a strong belief in what he wants, and he's got a good quarterback there, which is a big part of the whole thing, and they'll get better and better.
Coach, let's talk about some of the new additions. Last year, the Bears, after they traded away Roquan Smith to Baltimore, they didn't win a game after that, and it was very apparent sort of the void that was left on defense. They filled that void a little twofold by signing Tremaine Edmonds, and TJ Edwards, two linebackers. What kind of impact does that make on a defense when you get two big-time difference-making linebackers, big money guys who have experience, have won ball games before? What can we expect to see out of the Bears defense that'll be different than last year, especially post Roquan Smith?
Yeah, I just see that those two men are great fits for the system and what he's trying to do. Really good ball skills. Guys with skill, good tacklers, veteran players. One has been into the system a little bit out of Buffalo. And those guys right now, the leadership and the command of the huddle and the communication, that's key for everything. So I look for big things there for them.
And, of course, you have experience coaching one of the Bears' newest addition, Yannick Ngakoue, back from your time in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Yep. What can the Bears expect out of Ngakoue? Obviously, he was their top choice of the three remaining premier edge rushers that were available on the free agent market. Why Ngakoue, and what does he bring to the Bears this year?
Well, he's an elite rusher, and he's proven that year in and year out. I mean, he's averaged like 8 sacks every year or whatever, but he's 28 years old with 65 sacks. That's impressive. And he knows how to rush. And Matt will do a great job in terms of first and second down, too, putting him in good positions to still affect the quarterback. He's tough. He's good against the run. He's not the best because he's not the biggest. But you can put him in great situations with 9 techniques and open fives and things like that, where he can really attack play actions, play a lot of option, mobile quarterbacks, and play his gaps. But, the guy's speed is rare. And when you have rare speed, you have rare power. Okay, because you open up that tackle. You open him up for that speed, and now you have a chance to go ahead and bull him. I would always say it's like he's opposite of Julius Peppers. Julius established power, but Julius is fast, and that led to his becoming a terrific edge rusher. So they're opposite. He leads with speed that can turn to power.
Oh, okay.
Yannick Ngakoue really studies the game. He knows the history of the game. He knows the history of the great pass rushers. He wants to be one of the best. He mentioned how he used to watch Julius Peppers when you were here in Chicago, coaching Julius Peppers as a Chicago Bear. And I'm curious, though, that when you are such an elite pass rusher like that, can you overshoot at times because you are going for the quarterback so much? And when I say that, when the responsibility is actually stopping the run, what has happened in some of his previous stops is that he gets out of his gap, he gets out of his responsibilities because he is so hungry for the quarterback. And how do you improve that part of his game?
Well, when I was with him, it's just key work every day, and you show him the reason why you're in this gap, and explaining it, those type of things, and then you got to put him in a good position to use his strength. I had Simeon Rice in Tampa when we won a Super Bowl down, and very similar guy. You've got to be smart how you place him in certain techniques. Now, if you're playing him head up on a tackle, that's a long day. But if you play him some good 9 outside the tight ends, some loose 5s, those type of things, he can play his run and do a nice job with that, and then also be a tremendous pass rusher. But you have to have drills, everyday drills, EDDs, reading your keys, being on top of it. You can come off the ball and still squeeze the run, if you're on it in terms of your eyes.
Everyone knows this is now his 6th team, but he wants to be great, so
Yep.
he knows that he needs to work on stopping the run in order to be considered one of the greats and not just
Yep.
a one-dimensional pass rusher. Talk about his work ethic, because in the people that I've talked to and some of his previous teams that he's played on have nothing but great things to say as a teammate and as a guy that gets to work every day.
He is first guy in the building. Him and Max Crosby would fight to who's going to be first in the building.
Wow.
It was that type. They had that. They were both captains for us in Vegas, and they would fight to be the first. They'd fight in every drill to who's going to win the get-offs. They'd fight to who could run the bags the best. He was a terrific note taker, terrific, and he holds a high standard for everybody in the room. So there's that competition in that room, and he wants everybody taking notes, and he's strong like that. But he sets the pace by his actions, and then you have a chance to call somebody out. And then his work habits on the field, outstanding. You know, him and Max every day. It was fun to watch, and but he's detailed in his footwork, all those things. Just got to coach him every day, and he's a guy that. If you know what you're doing and you can really teach, he absorbs everything you say, everything. And I admire him.
On the note of that veteran leadership, the Bears have 4 rookies this year on defense who I think will end up playing somewhat big roles. 2 guys up front, Zach Pickens and Jervon Dexter, cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, and then a linebacker, Noah Sewell. So when you have these new veteran presences in the locker room, Ngakoue, Edwards, Edmonds, how important is, kind of what they're teaching the rookies? How do you prepare the rookies in their first year? It's a crucial year, but all 4 of these guys might be playing big roles. What role do the veterans, the big dogs, play in preparing those guys for the inevitability of them having to play in big moments during the season?
I think it's in meetings, demanding focus. Okay, attention to detail. It's not so much, hey, do this or do that, or what. Your coach is going to get that done for you. It's the process of learning. And it's about when a lot of these young guys start off and they get smoked early. They're expecting to come out and it's going to be something easy. They could rush whatever right off the bat. And there's a lot of ups and downs in this. And so a good veteran shows them the pace, the steadiness, the consistency. Every single day, you line up and do what you're supposed to do. That's the best way to help these guys. And it's a mental preparation. How do you prepare for a meeting every day? How to ask questions, and be involved. When somebody doesn't ask questions, he probably doesn't know the answers or he's not listening. Okay? And that's a shame.
Another thing really quick, another thing that people have been kind of, very staunch about with this Bears team is they need a breakout on defense. It's a good defense, good pieces, but, they're one piece away, and maybe that piece is somebody internally who kind of turns into something that the Bears weren't expecting. Yep. One name that a lot of people are talking about in these regards is Jalen Johnson, cornerback. What does it do for a defense when a guy like that has a huge breakout? And, are you kind of in troubled waters when the performance of a defense becomes somewhat contingent on a player having a breakout?
Well, I think not so much the breakout. I understand that. And that's coaching these guys every year. Every guy you expect to break out or improve. Everything is about improving in this league, not looking at the big picture, just daily improvement. EDDs, everyday drills, those type of things. And then you're counting on everybody improving. That's what you count on. And then that's part of what your coaching staff, that's why they're there. And to help these men improve every single day and to keep gaining ground forward. And the thing in football, I believe, is like a game. You start a game, you should be better at the end. You should be improving, constantly improving. Then you're better the next week. That's a focus, that's a coach, and that's a belief that goes into it.
I have one more question about Yannick. He's going to get chipped as being the best pass rusher on the Bears. Does he have the patience to take on these double teams and maybe give up the sacks to his teammates, whether it's DeMarcus Walker or Rasheem Green or a linebacker or even the safeties coming in now? Does he have that mindset where he's going to get chipped a lot, and that's going to free it up for some of these other guys to get those sacks?
Oh yeah, he's that way. He's there to win. I mean, winning is important to him. But in his mind, I know him. You can get chipped, he's still going to get there, and that's what's kind of neat. Him and Max had that whole thing. I don't care if I am double teamed, split it and keep coming. And the other guy's got to keep coming. And the guy that gets a single, keep coming. And that's what a front four is all about.
Interesting. Is there pressure on Matt Eberflus this year because he's a defensive coach and the defense ranked dead last year? Even stopping the run, they were second to last. So does it put pressure on him as a coach when people say, well, he's got a defensive background and yet he's got the worst defense in the league?
Yeah, I think, you've always, as a coach, you feel pressure of pride. It's your pride that I want to be the best in the league at what we're doing and how to get better. So if you focus on pressure, you'll feel pressure. If you focus on improving, you're going to improve. And Matt will focus on improving.
I love it. One last question. I know, Jason, do you have anything else before
I've got one.
Oh, go ahead. Jason, I'm going to let you ask because I have a fun one that I'm going to end on with Coach.
Okay. I remember last year when we talked for the first time, we talked about expectations for Matt Eberflus, and something that we kind of all agreed on was that it would be possible for him to have a successful first year as head coach without the wins translating. I think he did. And I would almost argue that the same could be true this year. I would say the fans disagree because there's less patience in football. What do you think a successful year then looks like for Matt Eberflus as the head coach of the Bears? It's a simple question, but it's a pretty big one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because it goes into wins and losses. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I never, that you always honor the game of football by playing the game, not that predictions for me. But I think it's successful if he can get every guy to continually improve. The quarterback is getting better. The offense is getting better. And the focus is improving every week. Don't look at the scoreboard. Work on improving and getting better. And then look at the scoreboard when it's all done, said and done, and you just might like the outcome. So keep your head down and drive.
It's no secret that you and Matt Eberflus are good friends, that you keep in touch. You talk very often. And you also recommend books. I know you are a voracious reader. So what books are you recommending these days?
God, I've just been through a ton of them. But it's Blood in the Garden.
Blood in the Garden.
Yeah, it's a basketball. As Pat Riley, that whole thing, the toughness, the teamwork, it's a beautiful book. And it takes along his path and the journey with the Knicks, things like that. And from the Lakers, who had nothing but great talent and speed and all that stuff, he turned the Knicks into a physical, bruising basketball team, and then he did it in Miami. So it's a way you got to find. If you don't have everything, you find something that you can be great in, and that's in Chicago. That's physical, and that knocked the balls out.
Coach, are you going to come and stop at camp before the season starts and address some of the guys for Matt Eberflus?
I don't know. This year, my wife's got me running around. I'm cleaning the house every day. No, everything's great.
I see you're in the car, so we won't take any more of your time. I know you're not driving while talking to us. Coach,
I love talking to you guys.
It is a pleasure talking to you. It's always fun to catch up with you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, I love it. Take care and have a great season now.
Rod Marinelli joining us here on the Sportscaster and Her Son. It's always great, Jason, to be able to have a coach with us. Let's wrap things up real quickly here and go into maybe some predictions. Do you have any predictions?
You know, I love this time of the year because, like, we're right on the eve of a lot of stuff happening in sports. You know, like, we're right around the stretch run of baseball. College football starts this month, which is just awesome. NFL starts next month. I mean, a lot of stuff are happening. Like, it's exciting times. And so there is a lot to predict on. First and foremost, I really do want to make my national champion prediction for college football because I think this year's going to be crazy. I don't think Georgia's going to three-peat. I mean, when you have a new quarterback, when was the last time a first-year quarterback won the national championship? I can't call it off the top of my head. So, anyway, I'm going to go with USC this year. I love that squad. I think that Caleb Williams winning the Heisman, he's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen in person, and I've seen Aaron Rodgers in person. So, very high on him, high on Lincoln Riley. I've got the USC Trojans winning the national championship this year, which sounds kind of weird to say, but, you know, I hope it would be good for football, too. It would be good for the sport. So, we're going to ride with that one.
Next.
Yeah. Number 2, NFL. I'm going to go with my MVP is going to be Josh Allen this year. I just think the stars are kind of aligning. Like, he's one of those guys, like, where I feel like if he doesn't win one in these next 3 years, we're going to look in like 5 or 8 years and all the kids in high school are going to be like, wait a minute, Josh Allen never won an MVP? Like, yeah, no, he hasn't won an MVP yet. He has this great offense. It's going to be a competitive division. But my thing is this. I don't think being in a weak division necessarily advantages you to win the MVP. I think being in a competitive one does because you're playing in more of those high-profile games, and it kind of gives you that boost to the stats. And I think that we're going to see that with Josh Allen this year. So he's due. He's my MVP pick.
And finally.
Bills. Yeah. And finally, Chicago Bears this year. I don't have them winning the division, but I think that they're going to be firmly in the playoff race. I'm not predicting a playoff berth yet. I'm going to have my official prediction on this kind of closer to the season, but I'm going to go for sure right now over 500. Taking a look at that schedule, we know how the NFL schedules work where it's sort of like the reverse of what you finished the year before. So like the Bears finishing with the worst record, now they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. That coupled with some development, some new players, some draft picks, I've got them finishing over 500 this year. We have so much more Bears to talk about, though, between now and the season starting. Like, I feel like it'd be foolish to make my full-fledged season prediction right now.
All right. And then my final thoughts really have to do with what Coach Marinelli was just saying. I do think that this is a coach it year for Matt Eberflus. I do think he has to prove that he can coach up the defense and coach his coaches to improve that defense as well. The foundation is definitely laid for this team when it comes to the defensive side. So while Justin Fields is going to continue to prove that he is their quarterback of the present and will earn a contract for the future, I believe that the foundation is laid for the defense, and next year they are going to get that bookend pass rusher that will complement Yannick Ngakoue. And they will then give Yannick also a multi-year deal. So look for that. That's what I think is going to happen with the Bears, and I hope it will too as well. So anyways, hey, our thanks to Rod Marinelli, Coach, always picking up the phone whenever we ask him to join us. He is a friend of the pod. We appreciate it. Thanks also to Jake Cantu, our producer at ESPN Chicago, where the audio version of this podcast can be found on the ESPN Chicago app. Jason, if you like this episode.
If you like this episode, please like, rate, and subscribe. It helps us out wherever you get your podcast audio. My go-to is the ESPN Chicago app, but wherever you listen to podcasts or your audio, you are sure to be able to find our show. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, anything. YouTube is also a great option. We always have the video version of our show up on YouTube, so be sure to check that out if that's what you prefer. But yeah, like, rate, and subscribe any platform. It always helps us. Keep checking us out. Got a big football season coming up. So excited, Mom.
Sometimes it's easier if you search the ESPN Chicago podcasts, and then you will find us easier that way. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at TSAHS Pod or at Jason Conander with a K or at ESPN Peggy. That is it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's going to be a very fun Bears season. We'll talk more football. We've got lots more coming up on future episodes of The Sportscaster and Her Son. Jason, good to see you, buddy. Good luck at school.
Good to see you, Mom. Thanks. Looking forward to killing it in Austin this fall.
All right. Take care, everyone. So long.
Hey, this is Jason from the Sportscaster and Her Son. I would just like to thank you for tuning in. Hey, if you like what you're listening to, don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. Helps us out a lot, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.